So now we need to make little knees and hocks. And if you ran out of wool and weren't able to do the pasterns, you can just pull a little bit more and do that as well. But I'm going to take about a 2-inch piece and split it into 4 so that I just have several thin sections of wool, and I'm just pulling them to get them even thinner. You can always add more wool, so it's better to, and it's amazing how quickly it builds up. I mean, really. So it's better to use a small piece and then add more if you need it. So halfway between the elbow and the pastern, I want to put a knee, and that's going to be just a crisscross of natural black in the same spot. And I just keep figure eighting over one spot until I've got this knobby knee, and then stab it a couple of times. And just,
We're having a good time over
yeah,
there.
they are having a good time. I don't know if anybody else can hear it, but so just puts a little bit of joint on your sheep's leg. Let's do this side. This leg doesn't seem as long. I don't know why. That happens. It's not an exact science. If you're a very exact person, you might find needle felting would probably be good for you because you got to adjust a little bit. And for the hocks, we're going to do the same, our other 2 pieces. And then I just I sort of exaggerate that bend and then do the figure 8 where you skip the point of the angle. If I have anything extra, I'm going to take it up the leg because I want the sheep to have a larger upper leg than lower leg. And if I weren't filming, I would probably needle that a little bit longer. Okay, that's better. So I'm skipping, I'm not wrapping that point. I'm going from each edge of the angle. And then taking any extra up.
So what do you get when you cross an angry sheep with a moody cow?
Thank goodness, it's getting very quiet in here. An angry sheep with a moody cow. I don't know.
You're very close. You get an animal that is in a bad mood.
Bad mood. I was close. I tried to put them together. Oh, that's looking good. Okay, we've got our natural black on, so now we can keep going with the body. I just want to get that done because it would be hard to do if we thickened this up and then tried to put on something after that. It's easier to go from thin or skinny to fat. So we need another good bit of white around the body. Before we do that, I want to take a 3 to 4 inch piece of off-white and let me think about this. Split it, since this is so chunky, split it in half and then split 1/2 in half again. So you have 2 pieces that look like this. And we want to get a little bit of white at the tops of the legs. So I'm just going to hold it on the shoulder, go around the leg. I did it twice, and then return to the shoulder. And stab that a bit. Once I have a good bit of wool on, I switch to my pen tool. It has 3 needles, and it just makes the work go 3 times as fast. And then I'll do the other side. Hold it on the shoulder, go around the leg once, twice, and return to the shoulder. It made my black bubble up a little bit. If I had felted my black a little bit better at the top, it wouldn't do that. But it's no big deal. I can just stab it tight. But sometimes when you wrap over something that you've wrapped, it wants to bubble the wool that's under it. Okay. For the other, so we still have this half, but I'm not going to use it because I need a longer piece for the hind legs. So what I can do is make sure that that's a little bit tighter before I start putting my off-white on there. Wool wants to stick. It really does. It tends to stick rather than come loose. Well, sometimes I guess it doesn't feel like that. This sheep has long legs. It's going to be a long-legged sheep. I'm going to pull about a 4 or 5 inch piece, split it in half, and split one half in half again. We just needed a little bit more wool for these hind legs. I'm going to hold it on the body, go down, probably down twice, and then head back up and return to the body. So that was more like 3 or 4 wraps around. But the idea is to head down the leg, turn around and go back up so that it is a little wider at the top and then tapers. When you go down, don't go all the way to the hock. Leave yourself a little bit north of that hock joint. So I'll show you again on this one. Just hold it with my thumb. Come down 1, 2, and then right here I'm going to turn around and angle back up. And then return to the body.
Getting a little meat on his bones there.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, looks good.
Yep.
Starting to look tasty. Okay. Did we have, this is our half of a 4 or 5 inch piece. We'll hold on to that. We might find a use for it. I want to really chunk this body up. So I'm going to pull about a 6 inch piece, split it in half lengthwise, and then probably put both of them just right around this body. Don't worry about, what was I going to say? Just between the front legs and the back legs on the body. Don't worry about the chest or anything else quite yet. And then I'll do the other one. It's just a lot of building of wool on these guys. It's all very simple stuff, but it just takes a while to build it all up. All right, we want to make a chest. Sheeps have a pretty deep chest. So let's take another 6 inch piece, split it in half lengthwise, split your half in half again. So now we've got a 6 inch quarter of a width of roving. And then using the flat side of the Zuli tool, if you don't have this, you could maybe use like a butter knife, or tongue depressor is a little bit thin, but anything like that, a ruler could work. And wrap it gently around within a 2 inch distance. It's going to end up probably a little bit bigger than that, but I'm kind of giving it a tug as I go to give myself a little bit more length. Like that. And then when you slide it off, you have a little rectangle, and you just position that with the top at the base of the neck and the bottom on the other side of the front legs, and stab that in. Kind of tack it in on the sides before I go to town on it. Like that. And I would keep going a little bit more, but that starts to give your sheep a chest. That. And then I want to do one more wrap on the hind legs at the top. So what do we have left here? We still have a half of a 6-inch piece.
That was
what I
you
just did.
pulled for
Right,
the
right.
chest.
Because this was the other half of the chest. So let's split this in half. So to make a quarter of the roving. And then I just want to go around the tops of the legs one time. So I'm going to hold it on the body, go around the top of the leg once, and return to the body. It just needs a little bit more volume here at the tops of the legs. Plus it starts to bring it all together. And I like to open them up and stab from the inside of the leg because you really just get a good, you can start to kind of make it flat and you can work against your felting surface really easily. That's much better than having it float in space and try to do this. Okay, let me do the other side. Just going to hold it on here. This one doesn't seem like it needs it quite as much. And then go around the leg and return to the body. Always make sure you're not locking your animal's joints together so that he can move freely without being locked up by the wool. So it's just a matter of checking where stuff is getting felted every once in a while. If you want your sheep nice and fat, you're going to go around the body again. You can even maybe take a whole 6-inch piece and just go right around it. It's a little easier to work with smaller pieces, but wrapping, wrapping, wrapping. There we go. It's really helpful to look at shorn sheep photos, like Google image shorn sheep, and that'll really show you their shape.
Say that lots
I
of
shot a lot of
times.
S's. Show me some pictures of shorn sheep shapes, please. Okay. we need to build up the neck and head a little bit more. So I'm gonna take another 6 inches is a nice size to work with of the brown and split it in half. And I'm gonna do one just right here on the neck. Just gonna stay on the neck, wrapping around, very simple. Try and fatten this up a little bit. That's better. Try to keep it consistent. And then the other half I'm going to use on the head again. Starting to look like a sheep, Milo.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Okay. So start at the back of the head, and I'm going to come right over this bridge of the nose, and then I'm going to go over the back of the head again. And now I'm just going to, whatever little bit's left, come up around the middle. So we've got this nice crescent-shaped head now, which is a great base on which to work. So many of my animals start this way. Okay, this face is just a series of shapes, and the shapes magically come together to make a face. So the first thing we want to do is a chin. And sheep, like and goats, have, in relation to their upper mandible, their chins are pretty large because all of their teeth are in the bottom and not so much in the top. So I'm going to take a 3-inch piece of brown core and split it in half lengthwise and stretch it out. This might be a little bit much. But I'm going to use the round end of the Zuli tool. You could try a pencil or something similar. And I'm going to go right around, right near the tip, and then I'm going to actually use the tip and crisscross on it. And then take a little bit extra off. And then I want to put a little bit of the natural black on the tip of this. So I just pulled a little thin wisp, and I'm just putting that on top. And then when I slide it off, it's a little bit pointy because the tool is pointy. So what I want to do is stab that back onto itself to make a really nice rounded, thick chin. Like that. Giving it a little tug to, so that's nice and round right there. And then I've got to put it on. Get down. Try to get. Okay. I'm going to tip his head back and put the chin down and have it poke just out past the tip of the nose. That's where you want the placement. And so I'm basically just going to tack it on to get started. Need a stronger needle. This is a good job for definitely a 38, maybe even a 36, this tacking on. You want a nice strong needle just to really get your piece stuck on there. Okay, so now we have this weird chin, hanging out in space here. We want to make two shapes that are going to create kind of a jaw. So to kind of build this area up a little bit. So that is another 3-inch piece, split in half lengthwise. Give them a little stretch. And then this time go around just right within the, within an inch, just straight around the wide part of the Zuli tool until it's all nice and smoothed out, and slide that off. And do that again with the other one because we want two of the same. Slide that off. And then you want to encourage one of these rounded edges into more of a angle here. What I really want to think of is a square, is like a 90-degree corner. But I kind of just do that when I stab it on. I kind of shape it as I stab it. So you're using one of the rounded edges of your little rectangle or square that you pulled off to create this jawline. Does that make sense, Milo?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think
see how I stabbed it into a more of a right angle here?
It's pretty tricky.
Just want to make sure it's coming across. And placement is, at the back of the head, not down the neck. And I just have it just a little bit over the edge of the chin line. So this shape takes shape a lot with the needle, the way you needle it into place. Okay, that's good. Now we want to make these, they have a really pronounced forehead and brow ridge. So the way I do that is I'm going to take more like about a 4-inch piece of brown core. I'm going to split it in half lengthwise. And then I'm going to put it around the round part of the tool. Just gently, don't wrap too tight. And I'm staying within about 2 inches of distance. Try to keep it, it's going to bubble up in the middle a little bit, but try to keep it as consistent as possible. And then let me go ahead and take a little bit. I should have done this on the cheeks too, but it's no big deal. It'll get covered up. But just a little bit of the natural black to go around it and get that darker color on there that we want. Like that. And then when we slide it off, because I really want, this one kind of bump on each side, I'm going to find the center and just like pull it a little bit and sort of create this dent in the amount of fiber that's right here in the center. And so most of it's here and here. So you just hold each side and just pull it. You'll see. You'll see once we get there. Okay, I'm going to center it right on top of the forehead. I'm going to stab that area that I thinned out by pulling it. Just tacking it on so it's nice and centered. See, this is what you've got. Okay. Going through her awkward phase. And then each side of this you bring down. Now, don't just felt it straight down. Give it some dimension. So I'm actually taking the bottom and sort of pushing it in to create like a little poof. Little eye poof. So their eye actually is probably a little bit hard to see because it's so dark. But their eyeball actually nestles inside of this poof that we've made on the sides. This is going to be fun to see how people interpret this part of the instruction. And it's always a challenge to make both sides the same. I know that much. Okay. Okay. Looking very odd because we need that top lip.
It looks like one of those cow sheep that's angry.
Yeah, she's in a bad mood. Okay. Now, the last piece of the face, aside from the ears, is this upper lip. And it is going to be a ghost shape. So I'm going to take a 2-inch square, see? 2 inches by 2 inches. And I'm going to lay a thin amount of natural black on top of it. Same size, but a thinner piece. And then we're going to flip it over because we want the natural black to be end up on top. So it's got to be on the bottom. And I'm going to draw my center line just so that I stay centered. And I'm going to draw an upside down U. And it should be, let's see, this tool is 1 inch wide, so it's more like 1.5 inches wide because it comes out a good 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch on each side. Draw your U so that you have some fiber on top of it that you can fold over. And then fold all of the fiber in along the U, keeping it nice and even. Don't roll it into a little twist. Just let it fall into the center here. Don't forget to pick your work up. When you're working on the felting surface, whether it's a Stab It Wabbit or foam, you've got to pick your work up periodically so it doesn't get too embedded. So this is what we're going for. And I'm just going to give it a little hit with the 5 needle punch tool. Okay. Take some of this extra off here. Now what we want this to do, it's going to get really weird looking again, is come around on each side to meet with the chin. And then we're going to stab a dent into the center and in the nose to create those shapes. So I just let the fringe come back over the cheeks, go up onto the eye poofs, but the important thing is to get it centered first.
Most things have this duck-billed platypus stage.
Yeah, it's just a really easy way to make this shape all at once. And I don't mind it might be hard to see, but I've got some brown and some natural black going on. Like, I don't mind these color changes. I think it's kind of cool. Okay, yep, duck-billed platypus, right? But then you're going to take a... God, you're going to take a strong needle and right in the center make a dent to start to create the sheep's muzzle. Very helpful to have a picture out to look at. And then a little Y on top of that to make her nose. And then from here, it's some shaping. It's some sculpting with the needles, you know, looking at a picture, but now you've got all these pieces in place to work with. And it's up to you to make the decisions on what stabs need to be made to really bring it all together.